Furball the Hammy, your friendly neighborhood hamster, is back again for another Hypixel Skyblock video. Today's video will be a review on what I said a few months ago on my predictions on the economy after the Bazaar update was recently released. By that I mean was like a few months ago. So after a few months after the Bazaar update was released, let us re-evaluate whether what I said was largely accurate or way off. So if you haven't watched my previous videos on the effects of the Bazaar update, I highly recommend for you to watch it, as I made 3 full videos fully covering the effects, the economy, the player base experience, and the benefits it could have brought to the economy. So feel free to watch that if you want to know more about what I'm talking in today's videos. Links are in the descriptions. Well, if you don't want to watch it, here's the gist of it. Here's what I predicted to be summarized in 3 main sentences. Firstly, the economy will experience further inflationary pressures due to cost-push inflation. 2. Slayers will be destroyed, utterly worthless, and it will no longer be a relevant endgame money-making method. And my last point will be more unique minions would be used in the meta for generating coins. So, firstly, let's talk about the first point. Did the economy experience further inflation even with the Bazaar? The economy is still experiencing inflation in the current status quo, there's no doubt about that. Things are getting more expensive. Look at the prices of Summoning Ice, doubled over the few months since the end was released, where it averaged around 350k back then, and now it's averaging around 600k to almost 700k per eye during peak hours. Some items have gotten cheaper, such as the Overflux, the Scythe, and the Mosquito Bow, mainly due to demand and supply because it's been months since Slayers was out, meaning more of these rarer items are a lot more common now, hence resulting in a drop in price. Another reason for the drop in price for these Slayer items could also be attributed to the fact that a good proportion of Slayer items are just weak or are garbage. I will explain more on that in the next point I will be covering. So the explanation as to why inflation is still happening with the Bazaar update, even though it reduced cash minions such as Snow, Clay, and Magma, which actually reduces the amount of money being pushed into the economy. Yes, as I mentioned, that does help prevent less money from being printed. It does prevent demand pull inflation. However, the Bazaar created cost push inflation, and this cannot be argued otherwise, especially with the players who argued that Furball, the prices of these items will drop as more players run those minions, such as Flint and Gold. My response to that back then was, supply of Flint and Gold minions was reduced, and even if more people decide to run those minions to increase the supply, it will still never be cheaper than before the Bazaar update, because comparing infinite supply before the Bazaar update, where people could literally click for infinite upon infinite stacks of Flint and Gold, that kind of supply can never match up with what happened after the update. Even if the entire server runs Gold and Flint minions, it will not be cheaper than before. This meant that basic materials like Enchanted Flint and Enchanted Gold and anything enchanted could be bought by the merchants will always be more expensive than they were before the Bazaar update. And after 1 month since the Bazaar update has been released, let us take a look at the prices now. They certainly dropped, but definitely not even close or lower than that of the prices before the Bazaar update. This only applies to items that could once be bought from merchants that are enchanted, for example Enchanted Wood, Enchanted Flint, Enchanted Gold, Enchanted Iron. But today I will only be talking about Enchanted Gold and Enchanted Flint. So Enchanted Gold now can be bought for around 100,000 coins to 110,000 coins per stack. In the Bazaar, obviously. But back then, Enchanted Gold from merchants used to cost 56,320 coins per stack. This doesn't include any buffs from the Seal of the Family discount 3%, it doesn't count, and clickers were paid around 15k to 20k extra coins per stack, bringing it up to around 71,320 coins to 76,320 coins per stack. So back then we could buy Enchanted Gold for 76,320 coins at the maximum, but now the lowest you can get is only 100,000 coins. If you do the math, there is a 44.1% increase in Enchanted Gold prices, even with the clicking prices included for your clicking slave, and Enchanted Flint can now be bought for around 190,000 coins per stack. Enchanted Flint from merchants used to cost 61,440 coins. Taking into account the pay of clickers, it will be around 76,440 coins to around 81,440 coins. Compare that to 190,000 coins per stack, there is a 133.3% increase in Enchanted Flint prices. Now, what do these prices mean? Understand that these enchanted items are the base materials used to craft items, and this means that cost push inflation will happen. In the context of the real world, cost push inflation occurs when primary resources such as oil and coal increase in prices. An example of this will be during the oil shock crisis in 1973, where the US basically triggered Arabic countries because it supported Israel, and because of that, Arabic-rich oil countries decided to collude together under this organization called the OPEC or OPEC, and drastically decided to work together to reduce their supplies of oil to drive up the prices due to US actions, resulting in oil prices to increase from a mere $5 per barrel back then to up to $10 to $15 per barrel in the 1973s, which created huge problems for countries and created inflation of around 20% globally and even higher during the oil shock crisis. Then that is an example of cost push inflation, where basic resources used for many items increases in price, which in Skyblock would refer to Enchanted Flint, Enchanted Gold, and Enchanted Wood, where all of these items are used to craft armor sets that are useful in the meta at the moment. For example, Tarantula, Mastiff, and Growth Armor, which is used to craft Mastiff, as well as for other stuff. So yeah, because of the basic materials increasing in price, this basically causes cost push inflation, because Enchanted Flint, Enchanted Gold, and Enchanted Wood are basically the oil of the real world in a way, because those are basic materials that are used to craft more advanced stuff. Now, apologies for the history lecture, but this shows how cost push inflation is still a problem in Skyblock and is going to be a recurring problem which will continuously bite Skyblock. It's almost a permanent shift, especially since the effects after the economy cooled down, the hike in base prices are still shown. Enchanted Flint literally doubled in prices even after the prices dropped. Back then, it was like 300,000 coins, like when the bazaar was released on the first day. It costed 300,000 coins for one stack. Yeah, but now Enchanted Flint is 190k, but it's still very, very expensive as compared to back then. Ultimately, I don't think Skyblock's inflation slowed down or sped up, because the bazaar definitely did nothing to help or to worsen the economy. It reduced demand pull inflation, but it created cost push inflation. So overall, I think it's a rather null point to make. Pretty much like the bazaar did not create or reduce inflation as a whole. Secondly, Slayers will be destroyed and will no longer be an endgame money making method. This is hands down the truth, and is the most accurate of a prediction I've made. I've experienced this from the ground. I experimented it with both tier 3 and tier 4 Slayers, and both failed to produce profits on a consistent level that can compare with wood chopping. Tier 4s are just hands down no longer a profit. You have to be lucky to even profit or to even break even and walk away with no loss of coins. I can understand that, since people might say tier 4s could be argued that it is for the XP and it's not for the money, and it should be for the chance to get these rare final Slayer items like the Scythe, Overflux, and the Mosquito, and tier 3 should mainly be for profits. Sure, I will accept that argument for tier 4s. However, tier 3s are still no longer profitable. Well, I mean, they are still profitable, you can earn money from it, but you generally tend to earn a bit of money only, and the amount of money you earn from Slayers is really weak as compared to other money making methods in the economy. Yeah, and I'm not going to lie, but Slayers, tier 3 Slayers earn less money than fishing. Yeah, I've tested it out myself, and I can tell you that that is true for most of the time. Okay, pretty much Slayers are dead. Then the only reason why you want to do Slayers as a reasonable being or a reasonable grinder is because you want good items such as the Talismans and Tarantula and Mastiff Armor. In fact, there is little reason to grind beyond level 6 Slayers if you are any normal human being, because for an average Skyblock player, Slayer level 6 is the point where most good items you need are there, such as the Mana Flux, at Savant 6, Mastiff Armor at Savant 4, Tarantula Armor as Tarantula 4 and 5, and the talismans that you want to get are all below Tarantula, Savant, and Revenant 6, because I know that the tier 7s have final talismans like the spider artifact, zombie artifact, and whatnot, but those things are mainly for endgame players because number one, they are expensive. So yeah, no average player would ever consider dropping millions on Red Claw artifacts, Hunter Rings, or Spider artifacts, zombie artifacts, and etc. because they just cost too much and they give too little, and unless you are an endgame player, these things are beyond your reach and just not worth. Furthermore, while basing items such as Enchanted Flint and Enchanted Gold rolls in price, you may be asking, why don't the prices of these Slayer items increase so we can still make money? I mean, logically speaking, if it costs more to make these armor sets, wouldn't it cost more to buy these armor sets? Well, what you said is partially true. Slayer items such as Tarantula Armor, Mastiff Armor did rise in prices, but not to the same magnitude of the rise in prices for Enchanted Gold and Enchanted Flint. The worst is Mastiff Armor. Before the Bazaar update, it sold for 4.5 to 5 mil, but now after the Bazaar update, it sells at around 5.5 to 6 mil coins for the entire set, which is only a 22% to a 25% increase in prices as compared to the 44.1% increase in price for Enchanted freaking Gold. This is why Slayers are dead, because the price people are willing to pay for Slayer items just don't match up with the increase in the materials required to craft these items. Like Enchanted Gold increased by 44.1%, but people are only paying 22% extra. Yeah, it's half, like it increases at half the extent of the increase in price of the base materials. To be honest with you, unlike zealots or farming or wood chopping, Slayers requires money to start a quest with. This means that in order to profit, we need sales to cover both the base cost of the quest, and after that, the leftovers will be our profits. And I guarantee you, even if you do tier 3 Savant or Tarantula, you will not be earning more than 500k per hour, especially if you don't get an RNGesus item. And even if you do, you need to kill hundreds of tier 3s to even get a Tarantula talisman, which is around 5 million coins to sell right now. After approximately 800 tier 3s, assuming you are doing tier 3s with plus 100% magic fine, finding a Tarantula talisman will be at a 0.3036% chance. And because of that, you will be required to kill around 500 tier 3s for an approximate 50% chance of getting a Tarantula talisman based on probability. Just trust my math here. It is around 50%. It's just no longer profitable. At best, you get some money, but it's highly inconsistent, because you make money off the rare drops instead of the primary drops such as webs and teeth, which are used to give profits before the Bazaar update. Lastly, diversifying minion usage. This definitely happened. People are changing minion setups, and that is definitely positive for the game. I don't need to talk more about this because just visit some islands and you will notice that not everyone is just running clay, snow, or magma now. Now, there are people running a huge amount of variety of minions. Some people are still running clay, magma, and snow, but there are now more and more people running different minion setups. So yeah, with that, I've talked about everything I've largely wanted to cover today about the effects of the Bazaar on the whole, and I think it didn't damage the economy that badly, since it resolved one type of inflation but created another. But general inflation still occurs, and that's why you still see inflation occurring in Skyblock. However, I believe that the Bazaar update just killed Slayers. There are other factors that killed Slayers as well, but I really believe the Bazaar was like the final nail on the coffin for Slayers. So yeah, it could be biased for me to say that the update was bad because I'm a Slayer main and now I changed to becoming a fishing main. So I'll just leave it as that as to whether you feel that the Bazaar is good or bad. I'm just here to explain the effects of the Bazaar. I'm not here to make a general statement of whether the Bazaar was good or bad. So yeah, just take it as that and take it as a pinch of salt. And yeah, with that, this is Furball the Hammy signing out.